Fight fans, it's Joseph Herron with young aspiring trainer, Mr. Rick Morones Jr. from the Team Morones Boxing Club in San Antonio, Texas, here to give you guys the Boxing 411 on the upcoming co-main event, March 1st, Saturday night at the world-renowned Alamodome in San Antonio, Texas. It's going to be Orlando Salido defending his WBO Featherweight Championship against, my goodness, one of the most highly touted amateur fighters in the history of boxing, Vasyl Lomachenko, in only his second fight competing for a major world title. Rick, the big question on everyone's mind here, does this gentleman deserve to get this fight?
Well, for us boxing fans, I mean, who know a lot about Lomachenko, yeah, I don't see why not. It's an opportunity for him. I mean, for these upcoming prospects, they're probably seeing, like, hell, come on, you know, I've been fighting for years. This guy in his second fight gets this opportunity. But you know, amateur and professional is totally different. But I mean, it's well deserved. He's a great fighter. This is a guy who had 397 amateur fights and went 396-1. Which is pretty unheard of by me. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And the one loss, he avenged it twice, if I'm correct. Beat the guy that beat him twice. So, you know, he's a great fighter. He's a smart fighter. Has great footwork. Puts combinations well together. He uses his jab, and he's very intelligent. So, I mean, a guy like that, I think he's ready for a situation like this.
You know, what's amazing is you've got two very different styles and two different backgrounds. Orlando Salido. This is a gentleman who took a lot of pride in taking his lumps as he was going along as a professional, and who basically learned on the job. Then you have someone who, with a deep, extensive amateur pedigree, two-time gold medal winner, who has the advantage in the professional ranks. And talk about the different styles. First of all, what style does Orlando Salido bring to the ring?
Well, first of all, he's been in there with some southpaws, you know, so Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Juan Manuel Lopez twice, Orlando Cruz. So, you know, one thing against that I saw against Juan Manuel Lopez that he did differently is he actually fought an intelligent fight. You know, he was the effective aggressor, you know, closing the gap. He got to Juan Manuel Lopez. Of course, Juan Manuel Lopez is not Lomachenko, but the mere fact that you look at both sides, I mean, is Lomachenko, this is a professional fighting. Is he ready for a guy like Orlando Salido who's been hit by everybody in the business with an 8-ounce glove? Can Lomachenko handle the effective pressure that Orlando Salido has? I feel if Lomachenko doesn't get his attention early, then he's going to find out pretty much what the pros are about in the later rounds.
You know, what's amazing is, yeah, most amateur fighters, they're really proficient, especially guys with a deep amateur pedigree, extensive success in the amateur ranks. They're very proficient from mid to long range, but once you get in that, you know, close the distance and fight on the inside, we see that a lot of amateurs have a hard time adapting to the professional ranks. For that reason, they don't see a lot of face-first effective aggressors in the amateurs. So do you think this is going to be a problem for Vasyl Lomachenko, or do you think the masterful footwork is going to be the real difference in this fight?
Yeah, definitely. He's superb at what he does. You know, he knows how to use the ring. He's very familiar with the ring. He finds a way to win. You know, he's just, it's two totally different styles, and that's what makes this fight so great. If Lomachenko is able to keep that distance and just pound on Salido from that distance and use the ring and use his footwork, I mean, he's gonna have a field day with Salido. It's gonna be pretty much easy fight, you know. So on the opposite end, if Salido's able to close the gap on him and make him work a little bit and put him in situations he's never been in the professional league, I think Salido has a great chance. So that's what makes boxing so great, Joseph. Is you never know. I mean, one punch changes the whole. Like Mike Tyson said, once you get hit in the face, your whole game plan goes out the window. So, you know, it's an interesting fight. But yeah, like you said, Lomachenko's footwork is just amazing. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely want to tune in Saturday, because I mean, this is a guy who's just so efficient at everything he does, whether it's a jab, with his footwork, his combinations. He doesn't throw one punch at a time. He's got those quick combinations on the inside, steps out, and he's coming back with another combination. That's what makes him so dangerous. But you know, to answer your question, yes, I think his footwork is going to have a big impact on this fight.
Because a lot of people have actually compared this bout to Orlando Salido versus Mikey Garcia. But obviously two very different styles in which you look at the defense of Mikey Garcia. The foundation of his defense is his flat-footed, explosive punching power in which he looks to counter every single time you let your hands go. Vasyl Lomachenko, the foundation of his defense is his footwork, and so he likes to keep you at an angle in which you're constantly having to search for him, and that's when he takes advantage of you. But what I was really impressed with his pro debut against Jose Ramirez, very tough gentleman and a legitimate contender, was his creative combination punching to the body and head. Do you think Orlando Salido is going to have a tough time with that, brother?
Well, I mean, all the tools that Lomachenko possesses, I think any fighter, period, in the sport of boxing can have a tough time trying to overcome the tools that Lomachenko possesses. But, you know, it's something that I feel Orlando Salido, who's actually very confident in taking this fight, he thinks he has a very, very good chance. He obviously sees things, him and his team, that they can do and inside the ring to frustrate Lomachenko. And like I said, I mean, I think Salido is just, he's been in so many different situations in the professional ranks that it's hard to say if you put him in this situation that he can't, you know, step up to the plate and make Lomachenko do things he doesn't really feel comfortable doing. So, you know, I think at the same, it's just one of them fights, Joseph, that it's just so difficult to talk about because, I mean, they're two totally different fighters. They're both totally in different situations. So, you know, it's like I said, if Salido's able to close the gap and make him work, he has a great chance of upsetting Lomachenko. And is he coming in as a champion?
Yes.
Salido, and it seems like he's, you know, Lomachenko's carrying the belt right now. You know, a lot of people, Orlando Salido is the champion, and they're talking as if Lomachenko, you know, has the title. So, you know, I think Salido will be ready for it. I think he'd be ready to fight. I think if, you know, he doesn't get his attention early, I think, you know, Salido has a great chance in the later rounds to pull off an upset. And it's sad that we're saying this because he's the world champion. I'm saying upset. Sorry to say that, but the publicly they've made it seem as, you know, Orlando Salido's coming in as an opponent.
But you're absolutely right. On the theater of the unexpected, anything can and often does happen in the ring. And Salido, boy, he's pulled off a couple of upsets in his time now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's not a stranger to any upsets. I mean, this is a guy who went to Juan Manuel Lopez. Juan Manuel Lopez was never the same to me before that fight. It was after that fight, the two fights with Salido, that we saw a fighter who didn't have the works no more in the ring. And that's all credit to Salido, because this guy who beat him twice in his backyard, which it takes a lot for a fighter to go into Puerto Rico and fight a guy who is at the moment a legend pretty much in the country of Puerto Rico, and not just beat him, but knock him out twice. You know, knock him out to I mean, very devastating knockouts. You know, Juan Manuel Lopez suffered in both fights with him. So, I mean, he's in the same situation. It's not something he's never seen before. So, you know, I think it's going to be a great fight. It's another one of them fights where you just flip a coin and see what happens.
You know, before we actually get your final synopsis and prediction on this article, or on the Boxing 411, and you know we're going to get a prediction out of you. I know you don't want to, man, but we're going to. But, you know, looking at this, and it's a very good point that you brought up about Juan Manuel Lopez, can you say the same about Orlando Salido? Because this is a gentleman who is long in the tooth. This is not a spring chicken. And he's been in some wars, some serious wars of attrition. Are we going to start to see the beginning of the end for the tough Mexican champion?
I mean, anything can happen. You know, Lomachenko's 26 years old. Barely coming up in the sport, and I mean Salido, you know, he's 33 years old, you know, and you know at 30,
very old 33.
Yeah, he's an old 33. He's been in because people need to know in boxing, it's not so much age. You see Floyd Mayweather at what, 37, 38 years old, just still dominating these younger fighters. But Orlando Salido has been, like you said, in some tough fights, man, and you know, and some wars that each fight might cost him 2 or 3, can equal 2 or 3 fights, because he's been in some gutsy fights. But you know, so. Who knows? Who knows to say if you know, I think we're going to see it early. If you start seeing the old Orlando Salido start fading off, I think we're going to see it early in the fight. But I mean, with a Mexican, you never know, man. When they carry that red, white, and green flag, man, it means they're coming to fight no matter what. You know, win or lose, you know, he's going to give his heart into the fight.
And he's going to be fighting this Saturday night in front of a very pro-Salido crowd at the die-hard Alamodome. And obviously, this is the right venue for it. San Antonio, a city built on combat, brother. So a very, very fitting background here for this WBO Featherweight Championship fight. So I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, my friend. Official prediction before we sign off.
I'm going to roll the dice here. I'm going to have to roll the dice here. Now, I'm going to have to take Orlando Salido's experience over the lesser experience, Lomachenko. I might be one of the few to have that prediction, but like I said, I'm rolling the dice. It's a tough one to call, Joseph, but I'm going to roll the dice and say that Salido makes some adaptations throughout the fight, and as as the round goes, his chances increase pulling off the upset.
It's going to be a great fight this Saturday night from San Antonio's Alamodome. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be on the same card as Chavez versus Vera, March 1st. And guys, if you can't get tickets, which do start at $25, you can see all of the action on HBO. But signing off, this is Joseph Herron with young, talented fight trainer, Mr. Rick Morones Jr., giving you the Boxing 411. And Rick...